whoever you are, wherever you are, hope you are blessed and doing safe. Ladies and gentlemen, greetings, family. Of course, I'm tuning in. You see me without the glasses off today. But if you're looking for some opportunities, particular advertisement opportunities, then look no further at the link at the bottom to my email address. You can hit me up for advertisement opportunities. We are supporting and promoting your businesses here on this channel. You can also, if you would like to donate and subscribe to our Patreon, a link is at the bottom as well. So you have multiple ways in which you can advertise with the platform by emailing me when we go on do our live stream. You also have access to premium content, those that want to see premium content that you will not find here on YouTube or Facebook or Twitter, as I am suspended probably by now. You guys can check out the Patreon at link at the bottom. But advertisement opportunities, definitely email me, gavin.grich1@gmail.com for rates. And for the Patreon, it is the same as the YouTube channel. It is channel gboot2786. All right, I'll holla. Peace.
Looks like another year's gone by. Looks like another year's gone by. A new year's coming, but we just want to say, everybody your way, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to you all in every city. And here's a little ditty. You're much sweeter than a candy cane, walking smooth down Santa Claus Lane, with a smile that lights the room so bright, like a star on a tree, Christmas Eve night. Oh yes, she's the only gift made for me. I won't need anything beneath my Christmas tree, 'cause I know one thing's for sure, Santa can bring her to my door. Be my baby for Christmas, please. Please my needs. Be my baby for Christmas, please. Be my baby for Christmas, please. Please my needs. Be my baby, please my needs. Be my baby for Christmas, darling. Won't you please? Be my baby for Christmas, please. Be my baby for Christmas, darling. Won't you please? Be my baby, won't you please? With more curves than Santa's sleigh, she makes my jingle bells all the way. Smells better than a new cut pine. Don't even have to mention she's mighty fine. Oh yes, there's no doubt she's the gift for me. I won't need anything beneath my Christmas tree, 'cause I know one thing's for sure, Santa can bring her to my door. Be my baby for Christmas, please. Please my needs. Be my baby for Christmas, please. Be my baby for Christmas, please. Please my needs. Be my baby for Christmas, please. Be my baby for Christmas, sugar. Won't you please? Be my baby for Christmas, please. Be my baby for Christmas, girl. Won't you please? Be my baby, won't you? Now I don't need a PS5 or a diamond ring. No, no. But you right here by my side is a sure thing. Yeah, yeah. To make my Christmas merry and bright, my heart will soar like deer in flight. Be my baby for Christmas, please. Please my needs. Be my baby for Christmas, please. Be my baby for Christmas, darling. Won't you please? Be my baby, won't you please? Be my baby for Christmas, girl. Please my needs. Be my baby for Christmas. Be my baby for Christmas, sugar. Won't you please? Be my baby, won't you please? Be my baby for Christmas, darling. Please my needs. Be my baby, please my needs. Be my baby for Christmas, please. Won't you please? Be my baby, won't you please? Be my baby for Christmas, girl. Please my needs. Be my baby, please my needs. Be my baby for Christmas, sugar. Won't you please? Be my baby, won't you please? Be my baby, please be my baby for Christmas. Be my baby, please be my baby. Be my baby, please be my baby for Christmas. Be my baby, please be my baby. Please be my baby, please be my baby. Be my baby, please be my baby. Be my baby, please be my baby for Christmas. Be my baby, please be my baby.
Oh, be my baby for Christmas, girl. Please my needs. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, that is the latest track from yours truly, Gavin Richard, aka G Rich. And you see Rich with the cent sign right there. That is on YouTube. It's also on Spotify and iTunes. Y'all support a brother by buying it right now. Be My Baby for Christmas. This was actually supposed to be a demo that I had. I've been trying to pitch the song, but I took it to, and just FYI, everybody knows, I took it to a producer friend of mine who listened to it, and he's like, "Man, release it as it is." I said, "As it is." He said, "Yeah." It's like, okay. And shout out to Sizzle who helped do the instrumentation and co-wrote it with me. So, by a round of applause. Well, let's see. I said round of applause. By a show of hands, you say rock it or drop it in the comments. If you think I should rock it or drop it in the comments, ladies and gentlemen. But I personally think it rock. Just looking from Danielle's comment, she said it's a Jackson 5 vibe. Okay. Wow, Mommy's kissing Santa Claus. All right, cool. Cece, I think, likes it. Shawn, what do you think?
It's a good song.
Good. You loved it. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, add it to your soulful Christmas playlist. All right. So yeah, more so I can make some money from it too. That also helps. But just trying to get it out there. I actually want, you know, who I can imagine singing it. I'm trying to get it to him was Bruno Mars, but I don't have connections with him. With Bruno Mars, I think this would be a great. That would actually be a great song to have Silk Sonic sing that. You know. Yeah. But anyway, Shawn, I haven't seen you since in a while. Happy Thanksgiving.
Well, happy Thanksgiving to you, Gavin.
Belated Thanksgiving and
belated.
Merry Thanksgiving now because we're in Christmas season. So, but yeah, Be My Baby for Christmas is on iTunes. And we know who Shawn James is. Shawn is the author of The Man Crisis as well as the John Haynes series. So we welcome Shawn. This is another edition of Random Topic Thursdays, the hottest live stream in the cosmos here on YouTube, ladies and gentlemen, as well as Facebook and on X. Whoever you are, wherever you are, I hope you are blessed and doing safe. There's quite a few things, Shawn, we can get into tonight. I haven't seen you in a while. Actually, it's been before Thanksgiving because I got sick over the last week or so before that. And so I just took time off on Thursday from doing my live stream because I needed a break. But we got a lot we're going to be discussing. There's a lot that's happened, especially in your neck of the woods, Shawn. As you are aware, it's expired now. There was an Adult Survivors Act that was passed by Governor Kathy. Signed into law by Governor Kathy Hochul that allowed women or doesn't even have to be women, it could be men as well, but most of it appears from what we've seen involves women. I guess the high profile celebrities that have come for it's basically geared towards women. I think is a safe way to say that. To file lawsuits is basically a look back law that even after the statute of limitations would allow it, they gave a window of 2 years for women to go back and look, or survivors of sexual assault, I should say, to look at alleged sexual assaults or harassments that's taking place against them. And nobody is immune. Bill Cosby is being sued under this by the same woman who has made claims against him, a woman by the name of Joan Terrace. Cuba Gooding Jr. is also being sued. You have Jamie Foxx, the actor Jamie Foxx, being sued, as well as the mayor, Eric Adams. from something that allegedly happened in 1993 when he was a police officer. And on top of that, you also have the former governor, Cuomo. Not, I said Chris. What's his brother's name?
Andrew Cuomo.
Andrew. Sorry, yeah, Andrew Cuomo being sued under this act as well, which expired on Thanksgiving Day. And of course, the big name, ladies and gentlemen, of what we're talking about in our thumbnail is Diddy. And so the question we have tonight, Shawn, is Diddy being finessed? Now, I'm sure you're aware and you've read. I don't know. Did you do if you did a video? If you may have, I didn't see it on Cassie Ventura, who was.
I did 2 of them.
You did 2 of them. I have not. You know what? I didn't get the alert from it of when it
Because
dropped.
YouTube is not signing people up.
Okay, and I'm. What's up, Sir Leo? What's up, Sir Leo? Uh, new guy here. Thank you for being here, Emperor. What's up to you? I gotta say hello to my family. How y'all doing? No, YouTube is of course they're on some shadow ban crap, and but you've also maybe we should talk a little bit later after the show about that because I have some stuff in mind I won't say here, but you've done 2 videos about it, and now what's happened recently? Of course, you know Cassie sued, and Diddy settled, and I want to talk about that term when we say settlement, and I may have disclosed this to you guys because we're going to talk about that. But his bodyguards and people that work with him have started to come out, and he's also being sued by 2 other women. I don't know if you are aware of that. And I want to play a video because Diddy's former bodyguard, Roger Bonds, spoke out subsequent to this and is backing Cassie, it seems. So I want you to hear this. This is a brief clip. This was from an Instagram post he had, and then he took it down. But of course, nothing stays on off the internet completely.
They seem like a good situation, but if you're not waking up happy, or if you disgruntled, or you really don't want to be around that person, you find every excuse to get out of there. And I got diabetes, so my excuse was I can't be with you every day. I can't do this. I can't do that. I'm losing weight. I'm doing that. But in reality, it was I was sick. I was sick of you. I was sick of everything that was going on around you. I was sick of having to cover up everything that you did. I was sick. Cassie spoke on it. She said, yeah, I jumped on it. I jumped in between it. That wasn't the only time. It was other times. And it was other people. There comes a time when you're in a situation that
that was briefly what Bonds had to say about this. Some other people have come out in support of Cassie. And I'm sorry, Shawn, I haven't seen your video, but and I don't know if I'm gonna get a copyright strike if I play this. Maybe I could just play the audio, but Gene Deal, who I think just stated that Diddy treated Cat, he said in this video, in the by the way, the Art of Dialogue, they are a great YouTube channel as well. But they basically said that he said that he did the same thing to Kim Porter. And Kim Porter was, you know, ex mother of his children, at least a couple of his kids, if I'm not mistaken. So I don't want to play it because I probably would get a copyright strike if I did. But what do you think of all the stuff that has happened with Diddy in the last couple of weeks, Shawn? I know you've commented, but I'd love to hear your comments here.
Well, I am thinking that it is one part finesse and one part smear. I mean, when I listen to everything regarding Diddy, I don't think that this whole thing as related to these allegations has any sort of merits, because if this was so bad, why didn't any of these individuals go to criminal court and file criminal charges? Now, I know that a lot of people have said that Diddy is rumored to be some sort of slimeball and some sort of sleaze who has done a lot of people dirty. And if he's done anything criminal as related to these allegations that Cassie is making, I would think she would want to make sure a man like this doesn't remain on the streets to prey on some other girl. I would think that would be her main focus, because if a man has participated in criminal behavior, I would think she would want to make sure that this man never does this to anybody else. That's where I have an issue with Cassie yes, her allegations may have a ring of truth to them. However, I listened to the motivation for it, and it looks like it's about getting money as related to this look back law, which I really believe is an extremely unconstitutional law. Now, when I look at this look back law as related to our U.S. Constitution, it's a way to circumvent the Fourth and Sixth Amendment and be able to circumvent a man getting due process under the law. Because, yes, you're saying that you want to look back at related to these allegations, but the statute of limitations is over, and you just cannot unilaterally just go around our Constitution and due process, because if a criminal action has been committed by someone, then people have to take responsibility and take action to go out here and get the redress through the court system and due process. A man has a right to his day in court, and he has a right to that day in court to answer those charges that any woman makes against him. I mean, that's my issue with these look back laws, because they take us to the standard of trust and belief, which is a very dangerous standard, because any woman can go out here and make an allegation as related to a civil case and go out here and try to file a lawsuit. And that's not justice as I see it. That's just a way to just get a easy payday. And that's how they're doing a finesse, because you're not, if you say this man is a predator who is preying on women or has participated in a sex crime, one of the worst crimes in the criminal justice system, I would think you would want to go out here and get this man off the street. That would be the priority, to prevent him from doing harm to somebody else, not participate in some empty symbolic civil lawsuit, which really, once you get it through the courts, is not going to go very far, because if you have no hard evidence, you really don't have a case, because even under the standard of preponderance of the evidence of civil court, you have to have some sort of concrete proof to prove your percentage higher than the other person. And he said, she said, just as I believe isn't good enough. I mean, yes, somebody did this with Donald Trump based on their feelings about him, but that's not really a good case. And the whole law in and of itself is a bad law as I see it, because it can be used to target individuals who people have an issue with. I mean, we've got Jane Does filing lawsuits saying that, oh, this guy did something to me 30 years ago, 20 years ago, where there's no way he can ever get evidence to prove any of this wrong. And that to me is unconstitutional, because if a person is going to make an allegation as related to a criminal act, they shouldn't be able to do it in a civil court. No, they need to do it in a criminal court within a reasonable time. And that shows that that person is going to take responsibility for themselves and take responsibility as related to meting out justice. This whole case with this look back law and this Adult Survivors Act just is a way for people to try to finesse money out of celebrities, because I don't see nobody going out here filing lawsuits against Pookie and Ray Ray. No, it's usually just rich guys that these women have an issue with, or the fact that their bank accounts are low and they want to get a payday. And that's the main reason why they're doing this. And that's why I have to say Cassie's pulling a finesse. And it's the kind of finesse that really messes up our legal system, because we don't need to be under the standard of trust and believe, because the standard of trust and believe was used to railroad so many black men. And right now it's being used to railroad black wealth into the hands of a bunch of predatory women and create a dangerous legal precedent that will do damage to both men and women in the future.
Well, let me say this. If you read this lawsuit, a couple of things. I'm curious, you mentioned the Fourth Amendment. Why would you say the Fourth Amendment?
Well, the ones that are free to due process.
Well, Fourth Amendment deals with unreasonable searches and seizures.
Oh, it was two of them. I don't know. One of them was due process.
Due process, well, I'll explain it to you, my friend. Under the 14th Amendment, the 14th Amendment deals with equal protection under the law and due process from the states. Whereas the Fifth Amendment, it protects you from self-incrimination. It protects you from self-incrimination, but also protects your right to due process from the federal government standpoint. So when you're brought on federal charges, the Fifth Amendment there applies. With the 14th Amendment, that applies in state criminal courts. What you have here, what you're correct on, is the Sixth Amendment, because there's a right to what's called not only a fair and impartial trial, but you're entitled to a speedy trial. And these accusations, and I'm not just talking about the ones from Cassie, I'm talking about the ones from a woman named Joy Dickerson. She said she filed that Diddy intentionally drugged her and brought her home and sexually assaulted her back in 1991. Now, this is over 32 years ago, and she claimed she was a 19-year-old Syracuse student. And Diddy, at the time, if we remember, he was just starting to work his way up in the music industry about that time, in a music business. Now, I'm not defending Diddy per se, because yes, there have been rumors about Diddy with certain stuff, but as I said it earlier, he's presumed innocent until proven guilty, like anybody that was accused of a crime. And there has not been any proof, in my opinion, that any of this has happened, other than people coming out now afterwards. They said something, and these people were some of them were former employees. You got to ask the question, well, if you saw this, then why didn't you go to the police? Bonds, his bodyguard, said he saw this and had to break it up. I mean, and I'm not saying Diddy didn't hit a woman. I don't know. Yes, that happens. Domestic violence does happen, and sometimes they're quiet about it and don't say anything. That's exactly true. But we don't know this for a fact. And she settled this case, and I want to talk about the settlement if I can, Shawn. I was on Queen Amadaya Shakur's show, and Queen, and she's a friend of mine, but she mentioned, I disagreed with her on this. She mentioned the fact that why did he settle? Because he settled, obviously he had something to hide. Diddy, more than likely, was not the one. I can tell y'all, and I'm willing to bet the farm, Diddy didn't settle this case. You want to know how I can prove that? Look at the top here. Well, better yet, look here. It says Sean Combs, Bad Boy Entertainment, Bad Boy Records, Epic Records, Combs Enterprises, LLC, and Doe Corporations. She did not just sue Sean Combs as a person. She sued Sean Combs through her attorneys, had sued her as her employer, because Sean, Diddy was her employer at Bad Boy. She was signed to the company. And that's why she named Bad Boy Records, Epic Records. Epic is Sony, by the way. I told you all, y'all know that. Sony Records owns Epic Records, and what they probably have with Bad Boy is a distribution deal, because most companies, especially these independent black-owned labels, these rap labels like Cash Money and No Limit, although I think No Limit was, Master P did his own distribution. But some of them, like Death Row and Aftermath, they had distribution deals with some of the major record companies, right, Shawn? I'm sure you've heard of that. So, like, yeah. Epic Records, it says right here, they were named as a defendant because they were a record label owned by Sony Music Entertainment, a subsidiary of Sony Corporation of America. And at all times, defendant was an employer of plaintiffs with all applicable statutes. So what happened, guys, is that when this lawsuit came in place, and I've seen certain people talk about it, is that the insurance companies for these corporations decided to end this suit amicably because it was going to hurt their brand. When you're talking about Diddy, Diddy is not just a person. Diddy is a brand, right?
Yep.
Sean Diddy Combs is a pop culture icon for all intents and purposes, in hip hop in particular, because he's a mogul, right? It's the same thing with Michael Jackson. It's very similar to what happened with Michael Jackson in 1993. I think that's the best way of putting it. When Michael was accused of sexual misconduct with the Jordan Chandler kid, although Jordan Chandler stated Michael never did anything, and it was his father, Evan Chandler, that was trying to pursue this so he could get money out of the whole thing. He files this law, and there are audio tapes of him talking about this, trying to extort money from Michael Jackson. There was a settlement that was made in that case for about $25 million, but the settlement came from the insurance company because at that time Michael had the Dangerous tour he was doing overseas. Remember? So the insurance company paid the money out. Johnny Cochran and Michael Jackson wanted to fight the case. He didn't pay that out. That didn't come from him. That came from the insurance company. Same thing with Bill Cosby. When Janice Dickerson sued, his insurance company, through his agents, they settled the case. So I'm willing to bet they didn't disclose it and they make it sound like Diddy settled this amicably with them. But I believe that the insurance company went along with it and Diddy just put out that statement. Because at this point, Sean Diddy Combs is, I'm going to just say this, he's done. He's had to step down from Revolt temporarily. I don't see him coming back. You know, this cancel culture thing is real. It don't take, the internet is unforgiving with this stuff, even though they're wrong, but I don't see, you know, I think it's wrong how they do it. He hasn't been convicted of it, but this stuff, people today, because they have a phone, they comment on everything. And he steps down temporarily from this. It's, you know, I'm seeing the same MO. We saw with Russell Simmons. Now Russell actually fled the country and lives in a foreign nation. And I think it's to avoid getting the extradition laws. If I'm not mistaken, because he started to get accused of stuff. Remember? And so Diddy gets this. Now, let's not forget, under that Adult Survivors Act, Jamie Foxx also got sued. Cuba Gooding Jr. got sued. Axl Rose, Sean, that was a big one. Axl Rose got sued from something in 1989. And L.A. Reid got sued. Jeremy Irving, I think he owns Interscope. He's part of that record label. He got sued. Did I say Jeremy? Is it Jeremy Irving?
Let's see.
Hold on. But you know, everybody and your mayor is being sued. What do you? So I'm just curious. What do you think of the others?
Well, I think all these claims are really bogus, and I think that they should have never even been filed in the first place. I mean, this Adult Survivors Act is one of the worst laws to be passed since Prohibition and those jab mandates, in that it takes away the rights of a man and has him defending himself without ever having to deal with any sort of due process, and has these cases tried in a court of public opinion. And they're basically made so that these women can go out here and get a payday at the expense of these men. It's really an unethical law all around. And there's no way that these guys can actually really defend themselves from cases that happen, in some cases, as far back as 30 plus years ago. I mean, I look at the case of Eric Adams. I don't like the cream of wheat man, but I don't like the way he's being done. And I don't care much for Axl Rose, but I don't care about how he's done. I mean, it really makes me mad because, again, this could be anybody's son that a woman could file a claim for. But these women are doing this basically not to get so-called justice. That's just empty symbolism. It's basically all about them getting money out of these insurance companies like they did with Diddy Combs and Bill Cosby. It's about them getting a settlement and them getting a settlement to be a payday to take care of themselves in their old age, because most of these women basically have aged out of the entertainment system. And now that they've aged out of the entertainment system and can no longer trade on the casting couch, the atomic waste for jobs, what they're doing right now is trying to revise history to make themselves out to be victims. But when you look at the evidence as related to their cases, there's no way these cases could ever really be tried when you really look at the evidence in them. Because again, like I said before, there's no way you can really prove the case on either side, because there's not much evidence as related to either side. Even with a civil trial, all of these cases are supposed to be about justice, but it's just about a cash grab from predatory women who in their older age are looking for a nest egg to take care of themselves. And that's where I have an issue with this whole situation, because nobody should be allowed to sue anyone just because they feel like something happened 30 plus years ago. No, the reason why we have in our Constitution things like due process and we have statute of limitations is because if somebody has committed a felony, and this is what these women are alleging happened, are felonies, then there's a course of action. A person goes through the criminal justice system. You don't use the civil justice system to circumvent the criminal justice system. No, if a criminal act has happened, then the person needs to go through the criminal justice system, get due process under the law. And I would think if you've been violated by a sexual predator, like these women allege, you would want that sexual predator taken off the street so they wouldn't harm someone else, not just be out here and continue to be out here and they get a payday. That's where this whole case becomes extremely unethical. And I look at this whole thing as related to this entire look back law. And again, if you have to look back in order to get justice, then it's not really justice, because you just have responsibility to just go get that justice within a reasonable time. Otherwise, it's looking quite suspect. And when I look at a lot of these cases, if they go through the courts, I think they're all going to crumble in the dust if they are taking the trial. A lot of these cases will be grinding the dust if they had to run into a jury and present actual evidence, because you can't go on he said, she said in a court with 30 years with no DNA. I mean, that might have worked with that case against Donald Trump because people just don't like Donald Trump, but even he can get that appeal and on an appeal and basically get this case thrown out, because you have to have evidence of things happening, because trust and believe, again, is not a standard anyone wants to be under, because if this person can go after these celebrities, then they can go after the average man on the street and go after the average man saying something happened 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 25 years ago. They can remember a date where a guy didn't buy them that slice of pizza or didn't go out here and buy them whatever they want and file a lawsuit alleging something happened. This law sets bad precedent overall. And when I look at the whole thing with Diddy, again, they settled just to get Cassie out of their hair. But the whole thing is that this law should have never been passed and should have never been put into place, because this law does damage to men and men's rights, because the standard of trust and belief is the worst thing that could ever happen to anyone, because the standard of trust and belief, what it does is make it where no man is safe and no man can ever feel safe about having any contact with any woman.
That's why a lot of men are actually walking away and not having relationships with women. Like they talk about the marriage rates being low. They don't want to tolerate stuff like this. If anything goes wrong, you can end up in a loss. You can end up losing your shit. And I'm not saying that some of this stuff can't be true. It could be. But I don't know that for a fact. I can't go on trust and believe. I can only go on innocent until proven guilty. I go on evidence. Not one person's word versus another. That's one thing. But Aaron Hall also has been sued. And I mean, they're just pulling out women from decades. Like you saw Gloria Velez coming out against Aaron Hall, speaking on him, talking about how, as well as Luke Campbell, Uncle Luke. Shawn?
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, and Gloria Velez, I remember her, even on her Twitter, she called herself model, dancer, vixen, artist. Look, I remember her as a video vixen. She was in multiple videos, and she had a son with Aaron Hall back in the 90s. And they were dating supposedly when she was, I believe, when she was 16, and he was already, I think, he was already in his late 20s, early 30s, or something like that. And the thing is that I have seen videos, and I distinctly remember her being interviewed on MTV talking about her life as a video victim, talking about Aaron Hall, and she never mentioned in a negative anything against Aaron per se. And shot Jason Black on his channel, The Business, was even talking about it. Well, she mentioned how he apologized. There was a video she had where she said he apologized to my son and I. She didn't say our son. She said my son, which tells me you thought of him as a sperm donor, not as a father. That says a lot, right?
It does.
And yeah, Uncle Luke was like, "Come for me," because he said we didn't mess around with no youngsters. But it's not, and I think they're even talking about extending this law past the again since it's expired. They're talking about making this permanent.
That would be a disaster. That would make it where no man could ever have contact with a woman.
I can
You'd
tell
have
you,
to separate women and men in different buildings because they would just keep filing lawsuits.
People gonna have to sleep in separate beds.
Yeah, they're gonna have to move women
like
in workplaces to separate buildings.
They're gonna have to have women living in separate buildings with men, like bosom buddies.
Yeah.
Women only buildings.
Yep.
This is worse than prohibition, Shawn said.
It's a disaster.
Yeah. What about this governor, Kathy Hochul? I mean, if
she's an imbecile.
But I mean, why y'all? Well, she got elected.
She got reelected because she scared people about abortion.
Yeah, she got reelected. She came in as she was acting governor, and then she got elected. So this is really her first term.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe her last. Well, once these women realize that they're never going to get a date again.
Yeah, but they're not going to. Yeah, but it's going to be a while. Y'all stuck with her.
Yeah. She's an imbecile. Her approval rating is dropping as we speak because a lot of people in New York are getting voters' remorse as a result of realizing that her policies are just retarded. Yeah. So people are regretting it because she barely beat Lee Zeldin. She only beat him by 6 points. She's on thin ice, but this whole law may be the thing that does her, one of the things that does her in next to the migrant crisis, because this law is stupid. I mean, this law basically destroys dating, destroys relationships, and these women are complaining about being single right now. They don't know how much worse they just made it because no guy is going to have contact with you if they fear being sued. And if you extend this law, what you're going to do is make it where no man will ever want anything to do with women. And corporate bosses, what they will do to protect themselves from liability is not hire women, and two, what they're going to do is take all the women who work in an office, put them on a floor all by themselves, and create a no fraternization policy in order to protect themselves from liability.
Yeah. Hit that like, share, and subscribe button, family. Hit that notification bell, hit that like, share, and subscribe button. Yeah, they're saying Cuomo is eyeing a run for New York mayor.
He's being set up to be Eric Adams' replacement right on time. I told y'all, within 3 years, they always groom a replacement for the black bootlick, and this is what's happening right now.
Yeah, well, honestly, I can see all of those men who've been sued. There were over 2,500, at least 2,500 cases since 2021 that's been electronically filed, according to database information from New York Times, according to their website. They talked about, according to the AP, there was about 2,500 lawsuits filed in New York regarding under this act. I honestly think they can actually, those defendants might be able to sue the state, probably for violating their constitutional rights.
And they can sue the women for defamation.
They may have an argument. But let's talk more about politics. So Shawn believes it's a finesse. I think so too. But and Jamie Foxx is being sued as well. Uh, yeah, everybody can get it. You know, they're also starting Jonathan Majors' lawsuit. I mean, his criminal case is going forward. They got a jury. Uh, you know, I'm surprised he's about if he hasn't been sued yet. But we talk about politics, ladies and gentlemen. I got to bring this up because everybody basically virtually is disappointed. Maybe I shouldn't use the word everybody, but just in general, what I should say is from mostly what I've gotten from new black media as well as talking to people that there are people who are not happy with the way that Joe Biden has handled his administration, in particular how it comes to African Americans. And I have here video. So what's going on? You know, election season is around the corner. Well, it's here already. And next year will be the 2024 presidential election. And of course, from what I've been reading, and what we're going to talk about briefly, is that people are disappointed in Joe Biden, especially black people. The numbers are low, and Stevie Wonder even had some criticism about Biden failing black Americans. Now, I think in general, Shawn, it's safe to say that black people in general have been comfortable. The people they're comfortable for speaking for them, even though no other group does this, are our entertainers and athletes. Interesting enough, they've been comfortable with it because they feel the entertainers have more influence and have the money and the connections to meet with people in power, right? So I think that's a safe argument. And Stevie Wonder, for all intents and purposes, Stevie's always been on, I guess you could say he's a Democrat. I know he's a staunch Democrat, just from his politics and showing up and campaigning for people, Al Gore, Barack Obama, and so forth. But Stevie has also put the work in. You know, he was in the 70s very socially conscious, still is. And he used his art for the betterment of people around the world, black people in particular, poor people, people of color anyway. But in particular, our brother Stevie called out Joe Biden and wanted to have a meeting with him. Now I want to play this video. I want y'all to see what happened because April Ryan, who writes for the Griot, and I don't care for the Griot at all, but she went in on Karen Jean-Pierre and Karen Jean-Pierre about Biden failing Black America. I want to play this video. So,
I had an in-depth conversation with Stevie Wonder last night, who is,
I love Stevie Wonder.
again, for the serious question. I had an in-depth conversation with Stevie Wonder last night, who is requesting a meeting with the president. He's very concerned about the Black agenda falling along the wayside and issues like laws of 50 years ago that are now being abolished or gutted, to include issues like the Voting Rights Act, what happened in Arkansas last week, affirmative action, Supreme Court, we've seen it, ban on books, and he's also even brought up issues of the Congo and the lack of information from the White House. Is the White House amenable to sitting down with Stevie Wonder, who has met with presidents throughout history, to include Ronald Reagan? He was one of the major impetus for getting the holiday for Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And also he was one of those who worked with President Obama in his efforts to become president. Is this president amenable to meeting with Stevie Wonder, who has these concerns?
And you're right, April, what you just laid out in your question is incredibly important.
And so we take that very, very seriously here. Can I just say a couple things about Stevie Wonder? He is indeed an icon who's made tremendous contributions to the civil rights movement and also voting rights. And as you just listed out, he was one of the main voices in getting Dr. Martin Luther King Day. And we appreciate that. We appreciate his brilliance, and we appreciate what he's been able to do on behalf of the community. So I can't, as far as a meeting with the president, certainly I'm not aware of any meetings with Mr. Wonder or any scheduled meetings, and I don't have anything to announce, obviously, at this time. But I also want to say that on the president's first day in this administration, he has taken this very seriously as it relates to what we're seeing, right, as it relates to racial inequality. He called it one of the four major crises that we have to deal with as a country when he stepped into office. And one of the things that you know, and I know you've covered this very closely, he signed an executive order to initiate a whole of government approach to implementing his equity agenda. And a couple of things that he did. He worked to protect the right to vote through executive actions and continued to calls for legislation, took executive actions on police reform when congressional Republicans would not sign the George Floyd Justice Policing Act. And so he's taken actions to make sure that we are protecting the right to vote. He spoke to the affirmative action, what we saw SCOTUS do, and he spoke to that and he said, and I'll quote, "We should never allow the country to walk away from the dream upon which it was founded. The opportunity is for everyone, not just a few." And he stands by those words.
Follow up on that.
Yeah, sure.
But Stevie Wonder is not alone in this thought.
Obviously, yeah.
Yeah, he's not alone in this thought. He's very upset. And he's even looking at this issue of courting Black males. I mean, he just wants to have a conversation with is the president amenable, as he is a leader, as he has met with other presidents on major issues of rights, humanitarian rights, as well as civil rights.
And look, you're right. It's not just an issue that Mr. Stevie Wonder has, right? As you know, we've met with civil rights leaders multiple times, the president himself, the vice president as well, and have sat in rooms listening to them and listening to their concerns, and also taking in their feedback. So we've taken this very seriously. Very seriously. That's why we've taken the actions that we've had throughout the past almost 3 years in this administration. That's why we're going to continue to be vocal about the importance of making sure that we keep a door of opportunity for communities. That's why when you think about his economy, what he's put forth on his agenda and policy, when you think about all the policies that he's put forth, there's always been equity at the center of that. So this
For gay people and for illegal immigrants, maybe, and even Asian Americans, but nothing for Black America. Let's be honest.
is something he takes seriously. Again, I don't have anything to share about a meeting with Mr. Stevie Wonder, but obviously this is something that both the president, the vice president, and also the first lady takes incredibly seriously. And you see that. You see that in the actions that we have taken, whether it's policy actions, whether it's speaking out and speaking up about what we're seeing from Republicans, extreme Republicans on the other side of Pennsylvania Avenue, and what they are trying to do in taking away voting rights, or what we've seen from the Supreme Court justice and taking away certainly affirmative action, which we think is incredibly important.
Good evening. I'm Micah Ullman. Tonight, shock and heartbreak.
All right. And that's another thing I want to talk about in a minute, too, that story. But Shawn, you saw that, and look, we know our brother Stevie Wonder, and I give Stevie Wonder a pass. I mean, I'm not usually for people who are strongly on that Democratic tip, but Stevie obviously cares for his people, and Stevie has been that dude. Stevie has been there always, whether it was pushing for Dr. King's holiday, but Stevie Wonder is not a politician, but he's used his platform to address issues that concern his community. And Shawn, what do you think? Obviously, Stevie is concerned about the Biden administration not doing enough for the Black community. What do you think of brother Stevie Wonder, and also what you saw there from Karine Jean-Pierre?
Well, I think Stevie really needs to take a look at the last couple of years. I mean, Ice Cube was supposed to meet with Joe Biden. 3 going on 4 years have passed. That hasn't happened. So he should understand that it's clear that Joe Biden is being consistent. and showing his disregard for Black American voters. I mean, Joe Biden has expressed his contempt for Black voters ever since the 2020 election, with that ad with the strippers telling them to take their booties to the poll. And he's further expressed his contempt for Black Americans by taking the so-called Black leaders like Al Sharpton and the congressional Black talkers and telling them that he was going to do nothing for them. So he is basically being consistent in expressing his contempt. And the problem is that Stevie Wonder doesn't understand that the Blue Party is clearly consistent in showing its ass to foundational Black Americans. And this is why Black Americans are turning their back on Joe Biden, because he said he couldn't do anything for us and we needed to go to the Hispanic community for help. Well, we're telling him that we got nothing to do for him, and no meeting with him is going to get us anything that we want. He already told you in December 2020, after you took your booties to the poll, he's going to do nothing for you. So the response that Stevie Wonder needs to do is get with new Black media and start being a part of the plan of no Black agenda, no Black vote, no tangibles, no Black vote, and let Joe Biden know that he can go get his votes from all of those illegals, like those Afghans, those Ukrainians, and those migrants that he spent all this money to court. And he can go get his votes from those people who are not citizens, because since he can't do anything for us, we can't take our booties to the poll for a guy who puts us dead last, and now is realizing that that middle finger he threw up at us is coming back to bite him in the behind, because that so-called coalition of minorities ain't getting him elected and ain't getting Blue Party members elected. No, what's happening here to Joker Joe is that he's feeling the pain of the contempt he threw at foundational Black Americans who saved him in 2020. But those same foundational Black Americans ain't thinking about coming back for him in 2024, because ain't nothing on the table for us. And since there ain't nothing on the table for us, we got no reason to take our booties to the poll for a candidate who said he could do nothing for us.
Right.
Okay, you can't do nothing
He did that
for
when
me.
he was coming in.
Yeah. So I don't see where
he told those Black civil rights, I don't even want to call them civil rights leaders, but Mark Morial, Al Sharpton, and a bunch of others that you better talk to the Hispanics because they're gonna outnumber you. I can't do nothing for you, man. He did the Flavor Flav treatment.
All right, so you can't do nothing for me. I can't do nothing for you. I had a girl say that to me many years ago, and I stopped trying to do anything for her. And she tried to come back to me, and I left her right where I found her. When somebody disrespects you, you walk away from them. And that's what everybody in the Black community is doing. And that's what Stevie Wonder needs to get with the program on. I mean, again, if he couldn't meet with Ice Cube, and Ice Cube came before him 3 years ago, what did he think was going to happen with him? And he was Stevie Wonder. I mean, Stevie Wonder basically needs to see the truth about the Blue Party. They don't care about Black people. They take the Black vote for granted. They disrespect foundational Black Americans at every turn, and they don't want to support anything about Black people because they think they've got the Black vote sewed up, because they think that there's a bunch of dumb Black women who will support abortion. They think that there's a bunch of dumb Black males who will just vote blue no matter who. And it's time for foundational Black Americans to say, look, we came here before everybody else, and we're tired of everybody getting tangibles, everybody getting money. I mean, you've got non-citizens like Ukrainians, Afghans, and migrants going out here and getting more money from a government, but they won't think about giving foundational Black Americans reparations for slavery, Jim Crow, and the current and ongoing discrimination that keeps Black men like myself out of the job market. No, you don't want to cut a check for the Black American who has kept your economy from falling apart, kept your government basically held together, and allowed you to basically get the White House and the House and the Senate. And instead of trying to reward those who tried to rescue your country, you pass an American screw job plan and screw over Black Americans. That's what that's what most Black Americans have a problem with Joe Biden. And this continues to show the contempt the Biden administration has. Karine Stephens, Karine Pierre, whatever her name is, basically continues to express her contempt for the black voter. And Stevie Wonder really needs to open his eyes and see the contempt the Biden administration has shown black people. And with that contempt, we have to understand this administration doesn't respect black people. And since they don't respect black people, they should not get any black votes. And when it comes to 2024 and the presidency, we just need to stay home, because if these people aren't about a black agenda and we didn't pick them, then we have no reason to go out here and vote for them.
Yeah. No tangibles, no vote. That's right, Danielle. Yeah, Bossa Queenie, remember? Shout out to Bossa Queenie. Shout out to her. Yeah, but brother, I think Stevie sees the truth. Stevie is a smart man. I was made to love her. My mama disapproved it. My papa boo-hooed it. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Ying, 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 ying. Remember that? I was born in Little Rock. Had a childhood sweetheart. Remember loving through the years. Ying, 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 ying. Stevie wasn't made to love the Democratic Party. Come on, man. Get off it, brother Stevie. Stevie's starting to see the light. I think Stevie knows the bullshit, man. I love Stevie, though. Hit that like, share, and subscribe button, ladies and gentlemen. Last thing I want to talk about, this thing that's been going on in the NBA. Shawn, I know you don't follow sports per se, but I'm going to brush you up on it. Obviously, have you heard of the name Josh Giddey?
No, I haven't.
Okay. Well, long story short, Josh Giddey is an Australian basketball player. He plays for the Oklahoma City Thunder. And right now, he is under investigation. He's actually been in the league for, I'll say, a couple years. He's from Australia. And police are investigating allegations that he had a relationship with a minor. And that's because some pictures surfaced online, a couple with his shirt off, one with his shirt off and another with appears to be a young lady who at least looks to be about 14, 15 years old, according to the reports. And so when the story broke that he has been under investigation for those allegations, several people, including myself, but most importantly for this conversation, a lot of people have clapped back at ESPN's Stephen A. Smith and Malika Andrews in particular, because Malika Andrews has gone hard, particularly on black athletes. That's the appearance of it. And when white athletes get into some type of trouble, their transgressions are not reported as much as the black athletes are. A la, you look at Ray Rice. I remember when Ray Rice happened. That was, and I'm sure you remember that, because even though you don't follow sports, that was covered 24/7 that was everywhere, because that video leaked out. Although we knew what Ray Rice did, because Ray Rice told the commissioner, I did this, and his wife even came with him to the commissioner's office up there in New York and explained the situation. She had put hands on him as well. She also spat on him. They leave that stuff out, and they both were arrested. But Ray Rice was the one who was charged, and because he had no prior criminal history, there was what's called intervention, pretrial intervention, which was a program that he did. And that's a program offered by the DA for first-time offenders, where they will allow you to complete some classes and pay some money basically to their office for these classes to enroll. And when you complete them, you can get the charges dismissed. That's what happened. But no, the National Association against for Women, as well as other groups, these other domestic violence groups that came out, they said no, off with his head. Ray Rice was kicked out of the league, never came back. But at the same time, Ben Roethlisberger, who was the lead quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers, was accused of assault of women. At least 3 cases. He was allowed, and I'm talking about the big R. he was allowed to play. Now, he did get suspended on the prisoners exempt list, but I distinctly remember they weren't talking about that as much on ESPN. Okay, y'all can look this stuff up. Everybody knows it. But they came at Malika Andrews because Malika Andrews in the past, and I'll just tell you this, I don't know you don't pay attention to it, but she's gone in on some others. One thing she did, and what Dez Bryant brought up, was this incident at the draft. Now, Brandon Miller, who is a basketball player, was just drafted from Alabama. Well, Malika Andrews brought up the fact that he was actually involved or trying to be involved in a shooting, although he wasn't charged with anything, but was connected with in a sense that he was in the car with the person who supposedly did the shooting that ended up killing a young mother of a 5-year-old daughter. And this is what happened here. Hold on. So this is from the NBA draft. This is what she did on live TV.
A case where his former teammate and another man, they've been indicted for capital murder in the fatal shooting of 23-year-old Jamia Harris in January. The University of Alabama has described Miller as a cooperating witness. How is this factoring, if at all, involving a case where his former teammate and another man, they've been indicted for capital murder?
Okay. Hold on, Shawn, I got to step out for a second. You can talk.
All right. I don't have much to say about anything, so I really I'm just going to have to sit here for a minute. Okay.
All right, I'm back. You could have talked about your books.
Yeah, well, I didn't want to disrespect you on your own show. I mean, this is your show, and everything. I said, this is your show.
Yeah, I know, but I always let you do a promo for it. But what we were talking about, so you saw that clip. Malika brought up Brandon Miller's, brought up something that really Brandon Miller was not even charged with anything, but on his night when he was drafted in the NBA, she decided to bring that up. And what most people are complaining about is that she doesn't go as hard on black men. There's a different tone on white men as she does for black men. And Brandon Miller plays for the Hornets, by the way. And she didn't bring up Chad Wheeler, who was just convicted for assaulting his girlfriend, who's a black woman. she briefly brought up the Josh Giddey situation, but remember when she went at Ime Udoka? You may not remember, but she went at Stephen A. Smith on his show with Ime Udoka. Ime Udoka was fired from the Boston Celtics for having an affair with I think one of the executives' wives. So this is what happened. I'm just gonna play this for you. Fair use, by the way.
Yeah.
The fact that it was able to go on all day, the fact that we are sitting here debating whether somebody else should have been suspended or not, we are not here, Stephen A., to further blame women. That is not why we are here.
First of all, let me be very clear. I don't appreciate where you're going with that. I'm not blaming anybody but Ime Udoka. He deserves, the fact of the matter is, I've said he deserved to be fired if they were going to fire him. If you're not going to fire him, then don't fire him. My issue is all of this being publicized. The point that I'm trying to make is just like you're not mentioning. Excuse me. I listened to you. You're the one telling me to stop on my show. It ain't happening. Okay, that's number one. Number two, I've already said he deserves to be fired, or he deserves to be there and handle it internally and privately. If you're not going to handle it privately, if you're going to publicize it in that fashion, then obviously it provokes everybody wanting to know, okay, well, who are the parties involved? When you have Amina Smith in Boston and other women pointing out the fact that there were women who were wrongly implicated in all of this, it's a disservice to them.
So that's one incident that happened, but she's been, a lot of people, especially in the NBA, the athletes, and I play this for everybody. Giannis, who plays for the Milwaukee Bucks, he walked out when she was talking to him or asking him a question because she started a rumor that he was planning to leave the Bucks, which wasn't true. But Stephen A. Long story short, I'm sorry, Dez Bryant put out a tweet earlier this week about Malika Andrews wondering where she was. And in speaking on this, he also had Jamel Hill, Yoda, Black Yoda, coming at him. But what happened was Stephen A. Smith decided to respond to Dez Bryant's tweet. Because I'm going to show you what Dez Bryant's tweet was, first of all. This is on X. They always speak on athletes negative, black athletes. And Dez Bryant, I remember this incident. Who remembers this? What happened?
He's going to be all right. And never
Shawn
really.
Taylor.
I don't think the idea to anybody getting the information early was that he was ever going to die. And, and then when the news broke, it was funny. Like, immediately it wasn't Shawn Taylor, a father and at home with his family, was shot by a home invader who thought he was gone. It was, another Miami football player, caught in a shooting.
I wasn't surprised because Shawn Taylor's been involved in a pattern of things going back to his days at the University of Miami, including a 2005 admission to assault and battery, misdemeanor assault and battery. So I wasn't even surprised, Tony, and that may be the most disturbing thing.
I was not
other than his condition.
Because I do know his past, that he had been arrested more than once and once on a weapons charge.
Which had not a damn thing to do with his death. Shawn Taylor was murdered in a burglary in his own house. In front of his girlfriend and his daughter, trying to protect them because some friends of a friend saw how he was living and decided to rob the place a few days later after he invited them in his home. That's what happened here. This is the pattern of what these coons do, especially Wilborn. I remember him and Tony Kornheiser. He's a racist.
George, someone lose their life and then you want to blame it on being a thug when you don't know the person.
They automatically assume that he was a thug, he was a bad person, that he had, the tragic thing that happened to him, it was his fault, which was completely wrong.
No one knew what the happened. Everyone just assumed, oh, Shawn Taylor, University of Miami, oh, definitely gang-related, something, drugs, whatever it is.
Shawn Taylor has a history of really, really bad judgment. Cops, assault, spitting, DUI. But Colony cleaned up his act. Just because you clean the rug doesn't mean you get everything out. Sometimes you got stains. Stuff so deep, it never, ever leaves.
One, you don't even know the guy. The guy was a great kid. Shawn Taylor was a great kid, extremely competitive, one of the best safeties we had, one of the best players we had all time. You don't know anything about him, and you automatically jump to conclusions.
We knew who Shawn was. We knew what type of player he was. We knew what type of person he was because we was around him each and every day.
Well, that's just one thing, and Dez Bryant wrote, that's why I stand tall for the athlete. But this is what Dez Bryant wrote to Malika Andrews, and I'm going to share this with you, Shawn, and then I'm going to play the video by Stephen A. Smith. He said, "You went out of your way to crucify Brandon Miller on draft day over something he didn't even do. Why haven't you said nothing about Josh Giddey? I advise you not to make this a black or white thing. Your parents really raised you wrong, and just because you went to a private school don't make you better. You appeal, and I know you're kind. You just a puppet. I don't know how a former or current NBA player could sit there across from you and look at you with some kind of respect." This has got 9.3 million views. And Stephen A. Smith had to come to her aid and defend her. And they were putting up different videos of it, and some of these people were saying she didn't lack empty of passion. She's doing her job and all this stuff.
Explicit captions was a junior in high school at the time. Diddy, who's 21, he declined to comment on Friday, and despite the serious allegations, Diddy is yet to miss a game this season. And Thunder coach Mark Daigneault, he said he will continue to be in the lineup, saying, quote, "Just with the information we have at this point, that is the decision we've made. It's obviously a league matter at this point, and the ball is in their court on that." Now, a league spokesperson told me this morning that the NBA is still in the process of gathering information, and we will continue to update this story.
So that's one thing. And Dez Bryant, he actually responded because he got, apparently Stephen A. caught wind of what he had to say. And I think the point Dez is making is that, and somebody wrote this and I'm reading this and I agree with them. They said, the point Dez is making from what I see, according to what you said, Mr. Stephen A., Brandon was not charged with a crime. So Malika had no reason at all to bring up his supposed involvement with something he wasn't even charged with. This was supposed to be his night. That was the point.
Who may not know, and it's very few in the sports world who don't know at this particular moment in time, she's been getting some major heat, in particular for former NFL wide receiver Dez Bryant for ignoring the situation involving or surrounding NBA player Josh Giddey of the Oklahoma City Thunder and the accusations of him having an inappropriate relationship with an underage girl. First things first, before I get even any further, let me tell you what Dez Bryant had to say. Let me read that quote to you right now. Dez Bryant tweets, "Malika Andrews, you went out of your way to crucify Brandon Miller, is being investigated for allegedly," without trying to get too involved in it, I feel compelled to get involved because I think that a lot of people are missing the issue involving Josh Giddey to begin with.
I feel like it's my job to come to the aid of boss. That's what Stephen A. is doing.
Josh Giddey is being investigated for allegedly messing with an underage girl. We don't know the facts. And because we don't know the facts and we represent a network, we have to make sure I's are dotted and T's are crossed before we provide commentary to that. The investigation is ongoing by the NBA. The Oklahoma City Thunder refuses to comment on it. Josh Giddey refuses to comment on it. And as a result, all we can keep doing is reminding everybody the brother being investigated. He's from Australia. He's being investigated for
the brother. Now, he has this energy saying all T's got to be crossed and all I's got to be dotted, right? Yet, when Kevin Porter Jr., an NBA player for the Rockets, who was cut from his team, by the way, was accused of domestic violence, his girlfriend, even though he was arrested, his girlfriend came out and said he didn't attack her. And her lawyers even said this. They denied any type of strangulation and that he beat her at a New York hotel. In fact, the young lady's sister, who was a WNBA player, went in on him as well. And they had one of the Manhattan prosecutors drop one of the charges against Porter. Kaisri Gondrzik, 26 years old, beautiful girl. This was Kevin Porter Jr.'s girlfriend. I don't know if they're still together. This didn't stop ESPN, Stephen A. Smith, and others from going in on him. This didn't stop Malika from going in. And Stephen A. Smith said he should be in jail. Kevin Porter Jr. wasn't convicted. Kevin Porter Jr. he was charged, but he has not been convicted. He has not even been tried. There's no trial going on as of yet. But yet you have to defend Malika Andrews. You have to defend her for not having the energy like she did with Brandon Miller, like she did with Emi Udoka. And you came to her aid. Oh, I got to cross the T's and I got to dot the I's. You didn't do that in this case. He should be in jail. Hold on.
The fourth overall pick in 2021 by the Indiana Fever. Look at her beautiful self. Look at her beautiful self. Now I'm talking to you as a father of two daughters. I'm talking to you as a father of two daughters. See, if my daughters are listening to this, they know what Daddy's about to say. It's not a popular thing to say. But law enforcement is going to be necessary for anybody that puts their hands on my daughter.
Now, you see, that's emotions talking, Shawn. And I'm not a father myself, not yet. But, yeah, any man would think that. But here's the thing. This was not your daughter. And you don't put a battery in your back to just go out and attack somebody and you don't know all the facts. You were going at Kevin Porter Jr.
Promise you that. Yes, I will do you harm. Anybody, any man that puts his hands on my daughter, it's going to be a problem.
I'm cool with that. Yeah, somebody puts their hands on your child, absolutely. But Kevin Porter, this situation, this wasn't your child. And you didn't know all the facts yet. Because she's denied, according to the reports, according to her attorney, that he ever touched her. Y'all can look at this. Shawn, I don't know if that was enough information for you. If you understand.
I think it's more than enough. And it clearly shows me that there's a double standard as related to black and white with the NBA slave plantation. Now, the white guy basically has an allegation of sexual deviancy made against him, and we have everybody trying to give him the benefit of a doubt. Whereas the black player, we have the bootlicks coming out looking to demonize him and make it look like he's the bad guy, but the white guy who participates in more heinous crimes by engaging in actions possibly with a minor. This is dismissed because they want to look out for the white male player, but the black male player is presented as public enemy number one. But this is what happens on the NBA slave plantation. All the black bootlicks go out here and want to make the black guy the bad guy, but the white guy they want to go out here and make excuses for. And that just is why the NBA is a slave plantation. It's all about protecting white supremacy and the institution of white supremacy and providing white privilege for all of the white athletes. So this is just another day on the NBA slave plantation. And this is why black players have to understand. This is why people don't want to deal with the NBA slave plantation, because they will treat you like a slave, see you as a violent black brute, see you as a sexual predator. But meanwhile, the white male who participates in possible sexual deviancy, they want to give a pass to. And again, that shows how racist the NBA is. It's not really about basketball. It's just, again, another slave plantation where they participate in anti-black racism. Then they go get their mouthpieces and puppets to go out here and speak against the black players. Meanwhile, they just give a pass to some of the most depraved behavior, because if this player is allegedly dealing with a minor, why are you dismissing it? Because this is really heinous criminal action, possibly. And this is stuff that would be the kind of thing that would make all your sponsors not want to deal with you. But it seems like it's perfectly okay when it's the white guy, but the black guy who is out here and is dealing with an allegation is seen as guilty until proven innocent. Meanwhile, they want us to have an open mind about a possible sexual deviant. I mean, this whole case, again, shows the double standards as related to race, and shows us when it comes to the NBA slave plantation, they don't see green, they see black as dangerous. They want to make dollars off the black players, but they don't want to go out here and give black men the same rights they would give a white male player.
Right. And the thing about Kevin Porter Jr., let me say this. Any man puts their hands on I'm a criminal defense lawyer. I abhor violence myself, but I think it goes without saying somebody gets convicted. I do support, even though I'm a criminal defense lawyer and I wear my hat better than any other defense attorney, I put me up in the upper echelon of that. I still do believe in law and order. And if he did this, yes, he should be prosecuted for what he did. But the girlfriend came out and said it didn't happen. Her lawyers put out a statement and said he didn't beat her. So if she's saying this, then there's no charge. Shouldn't be any charges if he didn't touch her. He should be found not guilty. They didn't have the same energy for Josh Giddey like they had with Kevin Porter Jr. And that's the problem, and that's the point Dez Bryant is making. I saw Stephen A. Smith with my own eyes hold up some statistics about domestic violence in college football involving black athletes, when black athletes, number one, make up majority of the NBA, NFL, and NCAA period. They're more black players, so naturally would have that. But for you to hold up statistics talking about domestic violence and not put it in proper context and make it look like black people are committing all these crimes, Stephen A., you are a full-out coon. I've lost respect for Stephen A. Smith in the last 10 years, for a little bit further than that, because I thought he was that dude when he had his show, quite frankly. But then I started to see this is a guy who's a company man, basically, Shawn.
Yeah.
He said already, and look, the guy is eloquent when he can talk and so forth, but all he does on a show is just get angry all the time when stuff don't go his way. And he said himself, his job is to make more money for his bosses and how he can get a piece of it. That tells me everything I need to know. This is a guy that wanted to get Kyrie Irving kicked out of the league. This is a guy that spoke badly about Kevin Durant, saying, you don't want it with me. And we know Kevin Durant would have waxed his ass. Kevin Durant is 7 feet tall. What do you think he's going to do to a 6-foot Stephen A. Smith? And he's a good, and Kevin Durant, by all intents and purposes, from what I heard, he's a good dude. No, he didn't say that he didn't say that about Josh Giddey. But and look, I stand on fathers protecting their daughters. Sure. I think we all do. Men protecting women. Defending, like Judge Joe Brown talks about. Defending, promoting manhood and protecting womanhood. I agree. But where's the smoke for the white players? They didn't have it. But yeah, Malika Andrews, and I mean, look, nobody really wants to sit with her and even there was an incident where she tried to supposedly meet to Jalen Rose because he hugged her and supposedly tried to make like he put his hand down there. And I think it was brother Kwame Brown Kwame Brown defended him. Because he's gone at Malika. He's also gone at Stephen A. Smith as well. But I'm done talking about these two. Y'all hit that like, share, and subscribe button. If you like what you've heard, ladies and gentlemen, if you believe I'm worth my time, then pay me for my time. Shawn, I'll let you have the floor for the final thoughts. Tell us what your live stream is going to be about if you have. And
well, tomorrow night's live stream is going to be on the philosophy of as is. And I'm going to be talking about how you need to take people as they are when you first meet them. And if you guys want to pick up some of the books on the SJS Direct catalog, you can find all of the books of the SJS Direct imprint, whether they be fiction or nonfiction, on Amazon.com and other online booksellers like Smashwords, the iBookstore, Google Play, and Barnes & Noble. And if you want to help support me funding the next SJS Direct comic, you can drop a donation to the PayPal or the Cash App.
All right. So the live stream is going to be about what again?
As is, the philosophy of as is.
What is that?
Where you take people as you first meet them. This is who they are. And I'm going to be going in depth on why you need to take people as they are when you first meet them.
Right. Yeah, that's good. Ladies and gentlemen, I need you all to smash up the likes, ladies and gentlemen. Also, if you have not picked up the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania versus William H. Cosby on Amazon Kindle, and buy Be My Baby for Christmas on iTunes right now, ladies and gentlemen. That was a great song. All right, Shawn. I'm about to end the live stream, but I'm going to talk to you for 30 seconds afterwards. So, everyone, thank you for tuning in. Cece, Danielle, Knight Rider, Leonard the Yuta. Salute to you, my brother. Love that avatar, by the way. And Rams G. CC, everybody. Everybody's been on here. DeAndre Mosley. Yeah. So y'all make sure I got the link in the description to go get that, to check out the song on YouTube as well. So it's actually getting a lot of views so far. But that's always a good thing, especially during a holiday. All right, y'all. Y'all be safe. Be one, be blessed. I'll holla. Peace. And be black.